Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Ghana's elections body to decide on whether to continue house-to-house registration. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, August 16th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. The Ghana Elections Commission, GCOM, is to decide whether it will continue with its house-to-house registration process to create a new voters list, even though the court has ruled it's not unconstitutional. But even as that decision is pending, GCOM commissioners have been advised that preparations have started to hold elections that are required following the no-confidence motion passed against the government last December. The update was given when a new GCOM chairman, retired Justice Claudette Singh, met on Thursday with the body's 6 commissioners on the heels of the High Court ruling that although the house-to-house registration exercise is not unlawful, it is not necessary to validate the voters list and other methods could be used. We get more from Newsroom's Baby Katoon.
Thursday's meeting was the first hosted by Chairman of the Commission, Justice retired Claudette Singh, since her appointment on July 29th, and it also came one day after the court ruled that the registration exercise is not unlawful. According to government-nominated GCOM Commissioner Vincent Alexander, upon receipt of the written ruling, a meeting will be convened to determine the way forward.
The question of the way forward in some regards was not determined, in the main because we're still not recipients of the written decision of the judge, and there are those of us who would prefer not to rely on reports and third-hand information.
Speaking with the media outside of GCOM's High Street office, Mr. Alexander said at that meeting, the commissioners and chairman will also be discussing an elections plan. The Chief Elections Officer, Keith Lowenfield, has since been tasked with making suggestions to be discussed to form the plan.
We sat today and took a decision that the CEO, and this was a consensual position, the CEO will come to us with the scenarios, and those scenarios will include house-to-house and other scenarios for the delivery of election.
The Commission has not met since June 24th when former Chairman Justice retired James Patterson demitted office. At Thursday's meeting, the Commission was updated on the registration exercise and preparations for elections. According to Alexander, so far, over 230,000 persons have been registered in the ongoing exercise. Additionally, he said GCOM will begin training of elections officials for polling day from August 17th in Georgetown, while procurement of elections materials has also begun.
Much has been done in terms of the orders for the non-essential and some essential election material. So the orders are out there. Even in some instances, payment has been made. It's a question of delivery.
The commissioner said the time frame for the training is dependent on the availability of trainers. The president is awaiting advice from GCOM before he proclaims a date for national elections.
Opposition leader Barrett Jagdeo is adamant that his People's Progressive Party, PPP, will not support an extension to the election deadline. The Constitution requires that elections be held within 90 days of the passage of a no-confidence motion. The coalition government had challenged the validity of that motion, and the Caribbean Court of Justice, Ghana's final court of appeal, on June 18th confirmed that it was valid. The opposition has since insisted that elections should now be held on September 18th at the latest, 3 months after that final ruling. And at a press conference on a Thursday, Jagdeo insisted that the PPP would not support going past that date. More in this report from Newsroom's Fariza Hanif.
The Caribbean Court of Justice has already ruled that the December 21st, 2018 no confidence motion is valid, triggering the constitutional provision for elections in 3 months. But an election date in Guyana can only be extended in the National Assembly with the support of 2/3 of the members. In the government's case, it only has a one-seat majority, which means it will need the support of the opposition. An application which was filed by attorney Christopher Ram for the High Court to order the Elections Commission to set a date for elections on or before September 18, 2019, was denied by the Chief Justice Wednesday. Following that ruling, the WPA, which makes up a small faction in the coalition government, urged the PPP to return to Parliament to facilitate the desired extension of the life of the government. The WPA noted that the refusal of the PPP to do so would further tarnish the party's image and render it unfit to lead Guyana. But Jagdeo took umbrage to the WPA's statement.
The court said that this is for the executive to deal with. You either comply with the Constitution or you get an extension in time on the basis of a vote in the National Assembly of 2/3 of the members. And we have already made that clear. There shall be no extension. We are not voting to extend the life of this government, period. That's it. So there shall be no extension. Therefore, the 3 months have expired several times now.
According to Mr. Jagdeo, based on the CCJ ruling, elections should have been held since March 21st, 2019.
In other news, negotiations between the St. Lucia government and trade unions on a collective bargaining agreement have broken down. A government negotiating team and the Trade Union Federation met on Thursday for what was expected to be the signing of the deal after several months of negotiations. But that did not happen. Stanley Lucien of HTS News Force explains.
It was supposed to be the last step in what has been a protracted journey, but the deal fell through at the final hurdle, resulting with the parties walking away from the negotiating table without a signed deal. The Trade Union Federation had what was being classified as niggling concerns, but in the end, they were deal breakers.
This matter settled because we understand that our members have been waiting for 6 years for some relief. And so for us, we've been very eager. Every time we've been given very short notice, we've tried to make ourselves available for the signing. We discovered that 3 of our affiliates, the Correctional Services, the CSA, and the Fire Service Association, had negotiated clauses with the government. That the government decided that it would not put in the collective agreement, but that these affiliates would have a MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, and that we would have signed that together with the collective agreement. We have arrived here today, and these 3 affiliates have no copy of the Memorandum of Understanding. We are being told that it was sent to Cabinet, and it has not returned. The truth is, these are negotiated positions that the affiliates have with the GNT. If we go ahead and sign the collective agreement, it means, therefore, that government can renege on its commitment to sign that MOU.
The chairman of the government negotiating team, Vern Gill, says the demands being made by the public sector unions are beyond its powers.
We came ready to sign, and we were advised by the union that as far as they were concerned, there were some matters still outstanding, and on that basis they've deferred the signing. They've requested a deferring of the signing.
What does that mean for the deferral?
Well, we'll address the concerns that there is and resolve them.
That we are standing together and we are standing in solidarity with each other, and therefore we are not going to sign any collective agreement until these 3 affiliates have their MOUs with government.
So it's back to the principle, the executive branch of government. The public sector unions are standing their ground and are threatening to up the ante if the government fails to make good on its agreements in principle.
Still to come in Caribbean Newsline, Canada issues a travel advisory on Jamaica. We'll have the details of that story and more after the break.
Now we're ready to show the world who we are. Shine a light so everyone could see our identity. See the way we do what we do. When we bring our cultures together, we make each other better. Carry Festa. Carry Festa. Carry Festa 14, Trinidad and Tobago.
Hi, I'm Brittany Dixon, and you're watching Finding Fit, the show where I pair up one client with two trainers. Trainer number one.
Oh my gosh.
It's about fitness, comedy.
You know, I can do this all day,
Drama.
In future, we cannot be late.
Inspirational stories, and so much more. You are gonna love it. You can catch Finding Fit prime time this fall on CaribVision.
Canada has issued a warning to its citizens to be on their guard when visiting Jamaica. The warning came from Global Affairs Canada on Thursday in light of the high levels of crime in the island. Canadian tourists are being warned to be wary of strangers and refrain from excessive drinking, especially at all-inclusive resorts. According to the advisory, there have been reports of sexual assault at some resorts by staff in some cases, and in other instances by tourists. It also warned that women traveling alone are often harassed. Global Affairs Canada did note that most hotels and resorts are well guarded, but it says tourists should ensure their hotel room doors and windows are secure. Visitors were also cautioned to be particularly vigilant if they are staying at smaller or isolated hotels with less security. The Prison Officers Association in Trinidad and Tobago is taking the threats made on the lives of families of prison officers very seriously, and it says more needs to be done by the authorities to ensure the officers' safety. Although National Security Minister Stuart Young has vowed to protect the officers' lives, the association's president, Ciron Richards, believes it's taking too long for important measures to get off the ground. TV6's Alicia Boucher reports.
With past experience concerning threats on prisons officers and also the assassination of some of them, Ciron Richards says no threat made at this time should be taken lightly.
A number of prison officers have been killed over the years. We have over 20-something prison officers being killed in Trinidad and Tobago. And I dare think Trinidad and Tobago has the highest rate of prison officer killings anywhere in the world.
Richards is renewing a call to Housing Minister Edmund Dillon to work more closely with the prison service in creating more housing opportunities for officers. As he says, many live in high-risk areas, placing them in even more danger. Richards describes remand yard as a volatile place, and he believes the judicial and criminal justice systems are highly responsible for the condition the country's prisons are in.
When you look at the parole bill, what happens to that? What happened to that? That is conditional release, and parole bill will give an opportunity for the prison to secure proper behavior from inmates, because they will have to work towards that parole system.
Richard says the electronic monitoring bracelet system is taking too long, and he doesn't understand why all the prisons are not outfitted with CCTV cameras. As part of the plan to reform the prison system, several programs geared towards rehabilitation and reintegration have been introduced. Richards reveals that while some convicts have access to them, more than half of the number of inmates do not.
But that does not exist at the remand. And the remand prison has far outstripped our convicted prisons. At this time, the numbers at the remand is over 60% of the entire prison population.
Moreover, he says, works on the building at Remand Yard intended to be used as a court started 6 years ago. The court was expected to come on stream in 2017.
The Caribbean's premier arts festival begins in a short while in Trinidad and Tobago. Artists from around the region will display their talent in Port of Spain over the next 7 days. Marie-Claire Williams has a preview of the festival in this week's Newsline Entertainment.
More than 20 countries are expected to take part in CaribFesta 2019. It will feature 300 events, including fashion, music, craft, and the visual, literary, and culinary arts. A 100-member delegation is representing Antigua and Barbuda at the event. Among them are the Hell's Gate Steel Orchestra, the National Dance Theatre, and the National Youth Choir. Culture Minister Darrell Matthews says the members are ready.
They are tremendously excited to be here. It's the first time for some of them being in Trinidad and Tobago, and so the opportunity to come to a country like this that is very rich in their expression of culture, to display our cultural components and our cultural elements from Antigua and Barbuda is something that the entire delegation is looking forward to. And so the rehearsals have started for some of the groups, the preparations have started, and everyone is just gearing up and ready to go.
And the Guyanese contingent is already in the festival spirit. They gave a preview of what patrons can expect over the next few days. Culture Minister John King is leading a 50-member delegation to CaribFesta. King says he's looking forward to the island's contribution.
There's a lot of excitement, having been host country 2 years ago. You're always interested to see what's next, and on the ground, just talking to a lot of the artists who have been able to, get on board. There's that excitement about being able to meet your counterparts, being able to share knowledge, being able to learn new things, and to show what you can do. And what is really fascinating for me, because I still consider myself an artist, is the independent persons who are making this trek.
CaribFesta 2019 ends on August 25th. Marie-Claire Williams, Newsline Entertainment.
Ahead in Newsline Sport, cricket legend Brian Lara to mentor West Indies batsmen ahead of the crucial My Team 11 Test series against India. Stay with us.
Ready to show the world.
The opening ceremony of CaribFesta 14 will be aired live on Friday, August 16th from 6:45 p.m. View the wondrous beauty and majesty of the Caribbean's premier arts and cultural festival. The best of Caribbean culture on full display at the Queen's Park Savannah, Port of Spain, Friday, 16th August at 6:45 p.m.
CaribFesta. 2014 Trinidad and Tobago.
It's time for sports, and West Indies cricket legend Brian Lara, along with Ramnaresh Sarawan, will join the Caribbean side's preparation ahead of the upcoming My Team 11 Test series against India. According to a release issued by Cricket West Indies on Friday, the two will be part of the pre-series camp to be held in Antigua ahead of the first Test match against India next week. Lara, one of the greatest batsmen of all time, and Sarwan, who was one of the leading regional players of his generation, will share their immense knowledge, experience and expertise with the 13-member squad. Cricket West Indies Director of Cricket, Jimmy Adams, said he was grateful to Lara and Sarwan for coming on board and offering their time to interact with the young batsmen as they get ready for the crucial two-match series, which will signal the start of the new ICC World Test Championship for both teams. West Indies and India will play two tests from August 22nd to 26th at the Sir Vivian Richards Cricket Ground in Antigua and August 30th to September 3rd at Sabina Park in Jamaica. Staying with cricket, the St. Lucia Zouks are back. They'll return for the 2019 season of the Caribbean Premier League, the CPL. The change of the name from St. Lucia Stars follows the termination of the participation agreement with the company operating the Stars franchise. The Zouks was the name of the St. Lucia franchise when it was founded back in 2013. They'll be playing 10 group games during the tournament, starting with a match against Guyana Amazon Warriors in Guyana on September 5th. Their next assignment will be in Trinidad for a match against Trinbago Knight Riders on September 8th, then Jamaica for the game against the Tallawahs on September 12th, and then St. Kitts to play the Patriots on September 17th. The Zouks will then play 5 matches at home between September 20th and 27th. Their final group game will see them take on Barbados Tridents on September 29th. This year's CPL runs from September 4th, with the final carded for October 12th. Bermuda's former women's double world champion triathlete Flora Duffy made an astonishing return from a long injury layoff to win a shortened test event for next year's Tokyo Olympics on Thursday after the disqualification of a British pair. Duffy, who was world champion in 2016 and 2017, completed the race, which doubled as an Olympic qualifier, in a time of 1 hour 40 minutes and 19 seconds. She was 11 seconds behind Jessica Learmonth and Georgia Taylor-Brown, who were later disqualified. Alice Beto of Italy was second and Vicky Holland of Britain third. The 31-year-old Duffy, who was aiming to become the first Bermudian to win an Olympic gold medal, later described her comeback performance as a best-case scenario. Speaking before the Brits were disqualified, Duffy said she was happy to be back.
Yeah, this was my first race in over a year, so there was a lot of cobwebs to blow out. I felt very rusty out there. It was hard from the start for me. I haven't done this intensity, as I said, in over a year, but I'm just happy to be back. There was a lot of times this past year I didn't think I would be back. I didn't think I would run again. I didn't think I'd ever be back at the pointy end of the race. So to be perfectly honest, this is best case scenario. I loved the course. It was just great to race out there with the girls again and just feel like myself.
The Bermudian will now turn her attention to the World Triathlon Series Grand Final in Switzerland in a fortnight, when she will take the next step in her recovery. Switching sports now, the Jamaica Athletics Association has made an about-turn in its decision to disqualify national hurdler Daniel Williams at the recently held national championships. TVJ's Karen Madden tells us more.
In the wake of the debacle involving the final of the women's sprint hurdles at the National Senior Trials in June, the J3s had announced that it would name the 3 women to run the event in Qatar on August 16. At the time, the local governing body had said the top 3 based on world rankings as at August 16 would be eligible for selection, but Danielle Williams would not be included following her controversial disqualification at the national trials. However, in a media release on Thursday afternoon, the J3s announced that following international expertise advice and a review of the selection policy, the association concluded that the fairest way to proceed was to make its selection decision based on the multiple criteria listed in published policy. The J3s also said the women's sprint hurdles race at the national championships had been ruled null and void, and Williams' disqualification could therefore not stand, given that the race was never completed. The J3's release also stated that Jamaica's team for the World Championships will now be selected on September 6, which is the closing date for the submission of entries. The local governing body said its main consideration was fairness to all athletes and compliance with both J3A's and IAAF rules. Williams, who is leading the diamond race, will line up against world record holder Kendra Harrison and 4 other Jamaicans, Janique Brown, Megan Tapper, Yannick Thompson and Janine Williams at Sunday's IAAF Diamond League in Birmingham.
And finally, Guyana is set to host the rest of the region in the Caribbean Squash Tournament. Newsroom's Akeem Green reports.
From August 18 to the 24th, the Guyana Squash Association will host Barbados, Bermuda, the British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, Jamaica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Trinidad and Tobago for the Senior Caribbean Championships. The venues will be the Georgetown Club on Camp Street and the National Racquet Center at Woodford Avenue. Finance firmly believes they have all systems to run a successful tournament.
So we can have an unbelievable week where our team, the team Squash Guyana, will have a tremendous job of keeping everyone comfortable and making sure that the tournament runs smoothly. We have very good people in places in all the key positions to try to make sure that everything is done from transportation to food to security to controlling the tournament, to dealing with the secretariat, liquid refreshments, plumbing, cleaning, everything.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
Barbados, renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
Now we're ready to show the world who we are. Shine a light so everyone could see our identity. See the way we do what we do. When we bring our cultures together, we make each other better. CaribFesta. CaribFesta 14, Trinidad and Tobago.
That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sports around the clock, subscribe to CanadaNews.com. And for more of our programming, Log on to CaribVision.tv and check out our YouTube channel. We'll be back here on Monday, but stay tuned to CaribVision as we bring you the opening ceremony of CarFesta 14 in Trinidad and Tobago. From all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and have yourselves a good night and a safe weekend.